I'm here with David Bressler, the founder and CEO of FormulaBot. And today we're going to do a little comparison, comparing FormulaBot with ChatGPT. You might be familiar with doing some data analytics with ChatGPT, but FormulaBot is an AI tool that allows you to go a lot deeper with analytics, and there's a lot of different ways that you can use FormulaBot for your analytics for different job functions, different use cases. So we're going to compare the two, and by the end of the video, you can decide which one is better and better for your use case. So yeah, really excited to have you here, David.
I'm excited. Thank you so much, Seth, for having me.
Awesome. So yeah, let's jump into it. If you want to share your screen and we can
Sure.
start getting into some use cases right away.
All right. Before we jumped into things, Seth and I were talking about all the bells and whistles of ChatGPT. And the product today is definitely not the product what it was a year ago, what it was 2 years ago. There was a point in time, it was about a year ago, where OpenAI was heavily investing their time and resources into analytics. And so for those that know, ChatGPT does have obviously it's general purpose knowledge, but also it does have a data analysis feature. And so it used to be called Code Interpreter. I think over time they kind of rebranded it to be more general data analysis, where users can upload Excel files and you can ask it questions and it'll generate insights, charts, spreadsheets, and more. And so FormulaBot, it really started off as more of a general purpose application just focused on Excel formulas. You come here, you want an Excel formula, you type in your instructions, and it generates the formula for you. It was a web application as well as a Excel and Google Sheets add-on, where a lot of the value proposition versus something like ChatGPT was it's convenient. It's inside your spreadsheets. You don't have to open up your browser. It's all right there. Convenience only takes you so far. I think the last time I was on this podcast, I think I made the statement, I'm trying to build something that ChatGPT isn't planning on creating, especially for free, because I need to make some money I got a wife and two kids. I got to put some bread on the table. And so for the past year, I've been heavily focused on building something that ChatGPT doesn't have and hopefully will not invest in the future. And so I think it'll be good to just kind of start off and show you the one kind of similarity. That way you have a good sense of what both applications have. I think for the most part, most people that are listening understand the general purpose, the general application of ChatGPT. You send a message and it generates a response. But not too many people have familiarity with the data analysis feature. So I'm going to go ahead and just kind of show you what this looks like. I've got a file here. This is a demo file for individuals that create an account um, that don't have an Excel file but want to test it out. And Seth, I'm not sure, are you able to see this Excel file here?
Yes, I can.
All right, so this is just the Excel file. That's a demo file. Basic sales information, right? You've got your marketing spend, your profit, your sales, where sales are coming from. So I'm going to select that file. You can select up to 20 files to chat with at a time. And I'm just going to say, show me a table of profit by state. And so in just a couple seconds here, it's going to open up the chat interface. Um, got a nice little view here of the original file that was uploaded. And then in just a couple of seconds here, it'll respond. It's basically examining the file right now. There's a lot of prompting that's done behind the scenes. One big difference that I've found, and this is more so behind the scenes, not something that the user would see on the front end. One key difference is there's a lot of prompting and fine tuning that's done behind the scenes within FormulaBot to get, I would say, more optimal results compared to something like ChatGPT. I've worked in data analytics for 13 years, and there's a lot of things that I've seen when it comes to, just how to phrase something, right? And so something like this, right? If I were to go to ChatGPT and say the exact same thing, right? Show me a table of profit by state. There have been instances where instead of taking the sum and aggregating the profit by state, it would take the average, or it would just show me the original file, but only show me the two columns, state and profit, where there's multiple records of the exact same state. And so a lot of prompting is done behind the scenes, especially from a computational and statistics standpoint to get best results. Another example is, and I'll actually do it right here. So this is a table that I can download. I can add this file to the chat so I can start chatting with that file. That's also something that isn't offered within ChatGPT. I can add this file to my set of data. And so if I do that, the file would be added here. And so I can,
Mm,
have a conversation with it later on. Of course, I can prompt it here, or I can say, hey, I want a bar chart based upon this result. And so another example of some fine tuning and prompting that's done behind the scenes is data visualization best practice. If you were to ask for this chart in ChatGPT, it'll order the chart it'll order the chart alphabetically. And for those that work in data analytics, it's best practice to order charts from high to low, right? And so it just looks better. Best practices when it comes to data visualization. And so you can see here, instead of it being ordered based upon alphanumeric, rather it's based on high to low. And then there's some pretty cool features that we've integrated along the way, like interactive charts. And so let's say I have a robust chart where I really want to dig into things. I can create an interactive version of it, and that'll be displayed on the front end. There you go. Can kind of zoom in there. That's a new
that's awesome.
that's a new feature we just launched. So a lot of the a lot of the application, especially in the past year, has been very focused on quantitative analysis. I would say 90% of the use cases are quantitative analysis. Uh,
Hmm.
but there's another side of things, right? Qualitative analysis. Um, Qualitative analysis prior to AI has very much been it's been pretty shoddy. So I think of a good example. Let's say you're running a survey and you're getting feedback, open-ended feedback in the survey, where users are providing feedback on the product. Is it good? Is it bad? Historically, something like sentiment analysis, it's been very logic and rule-based, where it's just looking for certain keywords and then adding or subtracting based upon the keyword. Does the sentence contain the word good? We'll do a +1. Does it contain the word awesome? We'll do +2. Does it contain the word sucks? We'll do -2. And then at the end of the day, it's basically a numerical system where it's just adding and subtracting based upon a certain keyword. Uh, Thing is, it doesn't account for something like sarcasm, right? And so, or doesn't account for things like this thing is badass. Like when I say this is badass, you and I know that it's good, but historical um, logical approaches in terms of understanding sentiment, it would get it wrong. It would say it sucks. And so AI has definitely changed things when it comes to qualitative analysis. And so I'll kind of kill two birds here. And so one thing that FormulaBot offers that you cannot get inside ChatGPT is integrations for data analysis outside of an Excel file. And so you can integrate your Google Analytics, You can integrate
Hmm.
with Google Search Console. You can chat with Google Trends to understand
Oh,
the
that's
popularity of certain search phrases, economic data. You want to see unemployment rate, sentiment of the US. And so in this example, I just connected my Google Sheet and I shared it. I shared it previously, and so I uploaded the file here. And so we'll just take a look at this file here, and it is just one column of reviews, right?
hmm
And this was a Google Sheet that we just converted to an Excel file. So I'll show you an example of what it looks like for sentiment analysis. So I'm going to select this file, and what we'll do is we're going to select an enrichment. So
mm.
think of an enrichment as just like you're talking with ChatGPT, where you're writing a prompt. We have open-ended prompts where you can write your own, or you can use one of our templated prompts. And so if you've got text classification, let's say you've got, a set of companies and you want to bucket them into certain industries. Text extraction, you've got, a handful of articles and you want to extract the people that are mentioned or the companies that are mentioned. Again, these are things that cannot be done within something like Excel. You can't tell, hey, Excel, you can't create a formula to extract someone's name, right? But AI, you can do that. And
Yep.
so in this example, we'll use sentiment analysis. So we're trying to understand the tone of each of those reviews. And so what we'll do is there's basically behind the scenes, it's doing a function call. And so there's a lot of functions that are done behind the scenes where I'm going to say, I want to get sentiment analysis. And this basically prompts the AI to kind of point things in a certain direction. And so the placeholder kind of says gets analysis.
Yep.
I want the reviews of the, or sorry, I want the sentiment of the reviews. Now, if you were to do something like this inside ChatGPT, it will use the code interpreter or data analysis functionality, and it'll use the legacy sentiment analysis packages that are done within library
Mm.
a certain Python library, which again is that whole there's a better phrase for it, but I'll just call it plus one minus one system.
Yeah.
And so we kind of have a few checks and balances here. So if it's more so applicable if you have a lot of columns. And so it's
Yeah.
just confirming the file contains review. Can you confirm that this is what you want to analyze? I'll just say confirmed. And then this is more so applicable for users that are uploading files that are, tens and thousands of rows. And so what it'll do is it'll provide you with a sample snapshot just to see if the results that you are getting are what you expected.
Mm.
Because we would hate to generate a response on a 10,000 row file, waste all of those API credits, and the results aren't what you expected, right?
Right.
And so of this file of 50 records, it gave us just a sample of 10. And I can kind of take a look and see, okay, yep, that's right, that's right. If things aren't right, you can go here and just
Mm.
adjust the prompt and continue to kind of iterate through until you do get the results that you wanted. And so I'm satisfied with these results. And so I'll click enrich this file and it'll run that prompt across the entire data set now. And
So
in just a couple of seconds, here's the file that I can now chat with, or I can just simply download this file, and we'll see here that that prompt was applied to every single row.
got it. Got it. That's cool. And that prompt is basically the pre-written prompt that when people select sentiment analysis is getting used. But if you select like the AI enrichment, then you get to decide whatever prompt you want there, basically. Is that kind of how to think about the enrichments?
Yeah, that's exactly it. So AI
Yeah.
prompt is more general purpose. All of the other ones are just templated prompts, which you can adjust if you wanted to. AI prompt, most common use cases I've seen are around folks that are using it for SEO, where it's like, hey, I've
Mm,
got this blog post. Can you write me an SEO title tag for it? Or can you give me a URL slug that kind of follows SEO best practices?
got it. That's interesting. Yeah. And then is the model being used there, um, is that able to be chosen by the user or it's kind of whatever model is that you kind of have built in? Oh, you have no,
Um,
uh-huh.
so because there is, and again, this is just through trial and error,
Yeah.
because there's a lot of different routes that's done behind the scenes, right? And I say routes as in like, hey, you got this sentiment analysis functionality over here. You've got this. There's a lot of things that are happening behind the scenes.
Yeah.
And what I've found is OpenAI GPT-4o, which is their best model, not the fastest, but the best in terms of accuracy. When
Hmm.
you're doing all of this kind of function calling, OpenAI 4o is by far the best one.
Hmm.
Again, I've learned that through trial and error. So right now, if there's any enrichment being done, even if you're on the base plan as a free user, you're actually getting access to the best model. Because
Got it.
at the
Got
end of
it.
the day, like I want things to be accurate. I
Right.
want things to, I want users to have a good experience. And so I'm okay kind of, you know, taking on that operating cost because it isn't the most expensive model. But at the same time, I just want people to have a good experience.
Got it. That makes sense. I mean, and for sure, accuracy is important. And what is that think harder mode that you were just hovering over?
Yeah. So because we're using an enrichment
I
and
see.
because it's doing the function calling behind the scenes, it actually defaults to 4.0. Or I'm sorry,
Got it.
yeah, 4.0. But if you're just doing a general purpose data analysis, it defaults to 4.0 mini. And there's really, for general data analysis, I've found is that there's not that big of a difference between
Yeah.
4.0 and 4.0 mini. And, oftentimes people are moving quick and 4.0 mini is a lot faster. So it defaults to that. But there are times where it does make sense outside of the data enrichment for kind of that qualitative analysis. There are times when if you're doing more of like a advanced data model or like a forecast model, if you're doing something like, XGBoost, all these kind of fancy Python models that are out there. If you really know what you're doing and you're getting real deep into it, that's where it makes sense to use the think harder, which is really just an upgrade to the 4.0 model.
Got it. Got it. Cool. That's cool to kind of understand how it works behind the scenes.
Yeah. So talk about the quantitative analysis, qualitative analysis. Another thing that I kind of alluded to is the data sources, data integrations. And so what I can do here is I've already integrated my Google Analytics. It's just through a simple authentication. Just kind of go here, select your account, select your property. All of that's already done.
Hmm.
And so in this file, or this chat rather, I've got the Google Sheet. I've got the output, which I can add here if I wanted to. And then now I'm going to be talking to my Google Analytics data. And so in this instance, there's really no application where I would want to do any sort of data blending. And so when I say data blending, where it's like, hey, I'm going to query the Google Analytics data, and then I'm going to join it with this file that I got from Google Sheets.
Yeah.
There's definitely applications for that, right? Where people might want to see, hey, I want to see my website traffic for the last 30 days side by side in a trended line with my sales data that's in this Excel file. Again, that's not something that you can do inside ChatGPT, but you can do it here. So I'll just ask a question. I'll say, show me website visits. Um, by device for the last 30 days. And so I
This is
mentioned, what was that?
I was going to say this is exciting because going into Google Analytics is a pain. I think for most
Oh,
people
it's the
who
worst. That's literally why I built it.
have
Google
it.
Analytics was the first data integration because GA4 is just the worst.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of things that are being done behind the scenes. Again, it's doing that function calling. And so what it's basically, so there's function calling, there's vector storage that basically lists out. Um, it basically provides the model a lot of information behind the
Hmm.
scenes that, frankly, out of the box, if you don't have that documentation, it's going to get it wrong every single time. And so an example of that is this prompt is a good example. I use the word visits, right? Out of the box, if I didn't provide this kind of robust, um, kind of fine-tuning vector storage information, if I didn't provide that, the response that we would get from Google Analytics, it would actually be an error because in the API documentation, the metric isn't called visits, it's actually called sessions.
Yeah.
So behind the scenes, though, there's a lot of work that was done that says, hey, when someone says the word visits, which is a lot more common than someone saying the word sessions, when someone says the word visits, I want you to use sessions. That's just
Yeah.
one isolated instance, but there's hundreds of instances like that, which again, that's something that was kind of done behind the scenes to make sure that people are getting the optimal results. But if you compound that with using the 4O model, because the 4O model also I've found is a lot better at kind of scanning the information that was uploaded to then apply it to the output. The combination of those two things, again, that's one of the things that you can't necessarily get out of ChatGPT.
Got it. That's really cool. And are you able to then save that like that chart or whatever, and then it can be update. You can view how it changes over time, or um,
Yep. So you can download this chart if you wanted to.
yep,
And what we're working on next is basically the ability to, it's kind of like a dashboard where if you
yep.
want to basically see this chart every day, there will be a standalone section where you don't have to prompt it to ask it questions. It'll just be updated every single day. That's kind of the next big project that we're working on.
Got it. Cool. That's awesome. That's exactly where my head was going out of when I with this. So that's cool. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'll share with you a couple more things, Seth. Does that sound good?
Yeah. Perfect.
Cool. So we get I would probably say that the second best lead gen um, that I have is people searching to convert PDF to Excel file.
Hmm.
And so, man, if you were to pull up like Ahref SEO tool, you'll see there are so many companies that are bidding on this term. I can actually just do it here. So I just do search for PDF to Excel. No, of course I didn't get any ads there. So PDF to Excel, there's typically a lot of competition when it comes to Google Ads. Also, it's very hard to rank on the first page. I've been focused on kind of carving out my own sort of niche on an emerging search phrase of people
Yep.
searching for PDF to Excel AI. And you see here, okay,
There's the
sponsored
ads. Yeah.
ads, sponsored ads, sponsored ads, sponsored ads. Oh, but who's first organically? That would be me. And so this has been a great lead gen tool. I actually have, I dug th through the data recently. I have a few users that don't even use the main purpose of FormulaBot, which is the data analysis, whether it's quantitative or qualitative, they literally just use it for the PDF to Excel converter.
Yeah.
And so one thing I will say to folks is like identify a popular phrase that you want to bid on, but just focus on AI. Even if it's not AI, like seriously. So and I'll share with this with you briefly. This converter which is, just right now it's a landing page, but it's also embedded into the app. Up until last week, it was not AI. But I said the word AI because oftentimes people don't realize the difference. It was literally just a basic OCR API where it's just extracting a table from a PDF, converting it to Excel. But
Yep.
people don't realize it's not AI. And so I'm kind of doubling down because I realize I'm not going to be able to rank first for people searching for PDF to Excel. But I can very clearly see an emerging trend of people searching for not only AI, but PDF to Excel AI. So I've been trying to capitalize on that. And to take it a step further, I actually bought the domain PDF to Excel AI.com, which redirects to FormulaBot. It's more so for, vanity URL for marketing purposes.
Yeah.
And so I mentioned up until a week ago, it was just basic OCR, where it's just looking for a table. Whereas now I'm using Gemini 2.0 something model, Google's API, which it's very good. It's basically a combination of using both vision as well as OCR, and it is amazing at PDF parsing, like the best model I've seen. And
Mm.
so I'll share with you a brief example of that. So let me upload. I'm going to upload. I guess it makes sense if I share the file with you first. That way you can kind of see it. I'm going to upload two different types of files. One is going to be this fake invoice. You see that, so?
Yep.
And another one is going to be a history book, literally a history book, right?
Yep.
And so let's do one example first. So I'm going to upload that invoice. And there's two routes that you can take, right? Is the file tabular, meaning is there a table in the file? Is it structured, right? And this uses the basic OCR. Or is it non-tabular? I've got some examples here because most people aren't too familiar with those phrases. And so in this example, it's an invoice, right? And if we take a look at this file again, we've got information all over, right? We've got information here, here, here. It's all over. It's unstructured. And so what I'm going to ask it is I'm going to basically ask it to pull out certain pieces of information. I'm going to say I want the description of the products, the rate, the
Mm.
quantity, the amount. I want the email that was mentioned, the address, and the invoice number, and the due date. Again, that was information that's kind of all over the place, right? You got the invoice, the amount, the due date. It's all over the place.
Yeah.
And so now it converted it to a friendly little Excel file that is in a structured tabular format.
That's very cool. That's awesome.
And so that was pretty, I would say, pretty basic. And so now what I'll do is I'm going to upload a history file
Hmm.
where I think it was maybe 100 pages or so. And I'll just say, let me just reset this. And I'll just say, summarize the page and page number 5. I can ask for every page if I wanted to for a summary, but I'll just specify it just for this use case. And so what it's doing behind the scenes is it's prompted to um, convert it to a JSON format. And then behind the scenes also, we're converting the JSON output that comes from the Gemini file to a Excel file.
That's pretty awesome. feel like students should be using this to like summarize all their all their readings.
Yeah, so that's one thing I'm working on. I'm kind of doubling down on influencer marketing
Hmm.
and reaching out to, there's so many TikToks that are out there that are focused on like college studying tips and tricks. So
Yep.
I'm reaching out to a few folks there to see what we can do.
Yeah, yeah, totally. there's like so many use cases of FormulaBot, so I imagine it's like trying to figure out which ones you want to highlight and market is it can be, I mean, opportunity, but also like, figuring that
I
out, I'm sure is a challenge.
I literally have a database of a bunch of creators or influencers, and they're kind of sorted in categories, which is basically like the hashtags that they use.
Yeah,
So I have a list of all of them, their category, but then also what feature I want them to promote because it does change.
right. Yeah, totally. All right,
All
so let's see
right,
this.
so let's see this file here. All right, we got page 5 and then a pretty extensive summary there. And
That's awesome.
like I said, you can take it a step further where I just specified page 5. You can have it summarize every single page, summarize every page, give me a summary, extract the people that were mentioned, extract the locations that were mentioned, and then you get
Yep.
yourself a nice little file.
Yeah, yeah,
All
that's
right, you
cool.
ready for the last one, Seth?
I am. Before that, I just want to also thank you for tweeting out that strategy about the landing page and
Mm,
kind of how to do that for with the title and AI and everything. I have another app that I built called BlogFox, which is like an AI. One of the main purposes is YouTube to blog generation.
mm.
So I was inspired when I saw that tweet and I created like AI YouTube transcript generator. That one actually doesn't use AI. That one's just a simple API call. But then there are some that do use AI, like AI YouTube chapter generator. Um, and it's great. It gets like traffic every day. I actually just experimented with. I built like a an app with Bolt that's a book recommendation AI generator because I was just like playing around. I saw that like that search term AI book recommendation was growing a lot, but the options that like there just weren't any good options on the first page of Google for it. So I was like, let's see, just as an experiment if I could build an app, put that on the domain, and see what happens. So I literally just launched that like yesterday on the domain book recommendation.ai. So I'm just as an experiment to see if, in a month, does that start ranking really high. So um, I can attest that that strategy works. And if you have a business, you should be thinking about how to implement that.
I'm going to share with you the most recent note that I was working on this morning. You ready for this?
Okay. Yeah, let's see.
Let me make sure I don't have any okay, we're good. All right, so these are literally all of the phrases
Yeah.
that I have found in Ahref, the SEO tool, that are kind of like what you said, a generator, right? But like, what are some synonyms of generators that I'm finding that people are searching for that you can build a tool on? So I am very bullish on not your legacy SEO where you're writing blog posts and you're focused on content just because with AI it's easier, right? But like it's a sea of sameness. And I can guarantee you, you know,
Yep.
the prompt that you input to write, explain the difference between Excel and Google Sheets, I'm sure someone else wrote the exact same prompt. And, you know, blogging, you're looking for something that is unique and different. And it's very hard to do that when it comes to content, especially if you have a domain with not a lot of links that are linking to your site. You don't have a good domain rating. And so I am very bullish, though, on just creating badass tools. And so my tools make up probably 60% now of my signups. And the other part of it is just people searching for the brand. And I now have,
Yeah.
I think I have maybe 20 different tools. One for Excel formula generator, Google Sheets formula generator, VBA, regex, the PDF to Excel converter. And it's never been a better time to do it with tools like you said, Bolt, Cursor, where you can literally, especially if you're working, which a lot of the people that are listening to this are no code developers. you can literally prompt it. I even did one yesterday in ChatGPT where I prompted it to create me a calculator that I can then embed as an HTML element inside Bubble. Because I realized it would take me
Yeah.
longer to build a custom calculator within Bubble. So I literally had ChatGPT build it and it gave me the code. I inserted the code in HTML bubble, element bubble, and it worked like a charm. And so it's
Yeah.
never been a better time to build some badass tools. Just make sure you've got, the phrase generator tool, do some keyword research, but sprinkle it all throughout your copy, your meta description, your title tag, and make sure to use the phrase AI.
Yeah. That's really really cool, and I agree. It's an exciting time for that, and I do think that that is a really really good SEO strategy if you're just starting out, because it, like you said, it's very hard to rank for things otherwise.
Yeah. All right, we got
Cool. All
six
right.
minutes left, Seth. You ready for the grand finale?
Yeah. Let's do it.
I'm actually planning on marketing this a bit on LinkedIn and X either today or tomorrow. Um, this is our latest feature, and it's called Loops. I'm still indifferent about the name, but what a loop is it's a one-click data analysis. And so you like anyone can create their own loop based upon a prior conversation, right? So if I go back to this conversation here, and let's say every month or every week I have an updated Excel file, and I don't want to have to go through and type all of these messages. I can save these messages, convert it to a loop, and then what I can do is basically go to my loops here, it'll show, and I would basically select the file, and then it would run through all of those messages. And so you can create your own loop, or you can use one of our templated loops. And so
Yep.
templated loops, we have some that are general purpose, so it doesn't matter where the data comes from. Google Analytics, Google Search Console, Excel file, Google Sheets, they're all general purpose. And so we've got some that are general purpose. And then we have some that are specific to Google Search Console and Google Analytics. And so it is one click data analysis. And so what I'll do here, this is to create a correlation matrix so I can understand the relationship between a bunch of metrics. I can take a look at the messages that'll be sent on my behalf. Some some um, some loops are just one step. Some of them are upwards of 8 steps if there's a
Mm.
multi-step analysis that needs to be done where it's like, hey, I need to generate this table and then I need to kind of transform or add a column or do some sort of data manipulation on that file and then continue to kind of compound on it until I get the end result. So in this example, we're going to use one of the templates, correlation matrix. And so I'm just going to select my file, click use this loop, and that was the one click. And so I'm going to put my hands right here so you can see them. And so what it's going to do is it's going to send all of the templated messages on my behalf, and then it'll basically communicate with the AI. And so you send a message, the AI will respond, and then as soon as the
Mhm.
AI responds, it'll send the second message, AI will respond, and just kind of keep going back and forth, back and forth.
So kind of chaining prompts together in the back end, essentially.
That's exactly it. I want to so bad use the phrase agent just because like the phrase agent is just buzzing right now. And I feel like if I go on X and I use the word, you know, agent data analysis, it'll get like a million views. But it's not it's not an agent, it really is just kind of chaining prompts together and just triggering things on the back end to send a message once the last message is sent.
Yeah, no, I get, yeah. I mean, it's a little bit of an agent, I guess, like if it's going and accessing different data sources and stuff, but right, it's not exactly.
Yeah.
But yeah. Yeah. But yeah, I think, I mean, that's is really cool, and actually is it's interesting because I think like prompt chaining is how you get, I think, really good results in general. Like even just as an example, when I'm using AI for BlogFox to be like writing a blog post, if you just do that one prompt, you are just going to get a blog post that looks like everyone else. I have like 10 prompts, right? So it goes through like many, many iterations, and that's how you get a result that's like more unique and actually better and has links and interlinking and research and all of these things. And I feel like that's there's a lot of value in what you built here of just being able to do that back and forth automatically. Um, it's actually yeah, that's actually really powerful.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of, and you can see here, this is the raw file, right? And then this is the output, where if you're creating a correlation matrix, you don't want strings, right? You don't want information like this. You just want the numbers. So it
Yep.
generated that, and then based upon that, there's the correlation matrix.
Yeah.
But yeah, like there's websites that are solely dedicated to like access this prompt library and these are the best chat GPT prompts, but like this is a step further, right? Where it's prompting, but it's sequential prompting that's carefully kind of curated by people, me, that have been
It's
working in the analytics space that kind of knows the nuances of, how to frame something up and what the output should look like.
yeah, yeah. That's actually a really interesting idea, like of being able to have that like one click, because that could be applied to, you know, non-analytics type things like creative work or and ChatGPT doesn't have that ability. The only way you can do that is like build it in Zapier or something on your
Yeah.
own. Um, so I feel like that's like that alone is a very interesting nugget of being able to do that. Yeah.
Yeah. You just gave someone a grand idea.
Yeah, someone who's listening. Um, I wish I had time to do it. It's a pretty cool one.
Man, I was on a call yesterday with a customer, and we just started talking, and we were talking specifically about the PDF to Excel converter. And
Yeah,
I said, I'm like, right now it's just like a single feature, but like that in itself can be a tool, or that in itself can be a product where it's like, hey, I'm going to integrate with your emails and, pull out the PDFs for every email that you get. And then I'm going to create templates so that way you don't have to constantly write out the information that you want to extract. It's just all
yeah,
saved. Like there are so many things out there that need to be built where, even a few months ago, it would take so long to build, but like things like like you mentioned, Bolt, Cursor, Lovable, like it's so
yeah,
easy to build these things that I wish, just like you just said, there's times where I wish I would just like sell, I don't want to do it, but I just want to sell FormulaBot just so I can build this other thing. I always think about like that one meme where it's like the guy and the girl walking in one direction and then a
yeah,
girl walking in the opposite direction. The guy's like this. I feel like I think like that like every day.
yeah, yeah, totally. Yeah, I do think Bolt and Lovable. And I mean, I've been playing around a lot with them. They're really powerful. I can only imagine what it's going to be like when GPT-5 comes out and these new models come out with that. And I mean, you're not going to be able to build something like FormulaBot. I don't. I think we're pretty far
I hope
away
not.
from that. No, yeah, I hope not too, because then I don't, then like software's, I
Ed.
don't know what the world is going to be completely different if that happens. And I don't think, I really don't think we're close to that, but I do think we're close to like being able to build some like really cool micro tools
Yes.
with it. And you already can,
Yep.
and it's just going to get easier and easier. So, um, yeah, but yeah, it was great having you on, David, and I hope for everyone watching, you learned a lot about what FormulaBot can do and how it compares to ChatGPT. If you use data analytics in ChatGPT, maybe you got some ideas of how you could use it with FormulaBot. You can check the link in the description to go to FormulaBot. And also, if you want to learn more about AI and no code, check out No Code MBA to see all the full tutorials we have there. Anything else you want to leave people with, David?
Just build, man. Just build tools, Focus on SEO. One thing I've been doing recently is building out all of these tools and actually instead of spending a lot of time investing in SEO, I'll build a tool. But then I'll actually test out paid ads directing to that tool to see if it
Mm,
converts to actual signups and subscribers. Because you'd hate to invest all of this time doing backlinking and all this kind of SEO that's done behind the scenes on a page where you find that it doesn't actually convert to paying customers. So I actually do recommend testing a small sample size, maybe a couple $1,000s or so, just to see if that tool resonates with your audience because you'd hate to build something that people like, but it actually doesn't translate to your product. So that would be like
right.
my one word of advice. And just like Seth, I'm pretty active on X. So if you do have any questions or ideas or just want to bounce around an idea, feel free to chat me. It's Bressler tweets. It's still old school tweets. I haven't updated to like Bressler posts. So Bressler tweets. Feel free to add me in chat.
Cool. Awesome. Well, I think there was a ton of value here in this episode. So um, really enjoyed having you on, and we'll do it again sometime soon.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it. Thanks for having me.